Hi, my name is Dettmann. I'm a new author with my book, A Life Worth Dreaming About. I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so yes, I did come quite a bit of ways from here, but big fan of the festival and enjoyed my stay so far. Quickly else about me, I'm also an accomplished journalist back in Wisconsin, where I've won 9 feature writing awards at the local, regional, and national levels, including the only 2-time finalist for the Penn State University Youth Journalism Excellence Award. So I'm the only 2-time finalist in the history of that award. So I'm going to dive into my book here. Like I said, it's my debut novel. It's real quickly. It's about a guy who grew up in the Midwest and what he believed were poverty conditions when they really weren't to most people. But he goes on and achieves his dream of living in New York City, making the big bucks, but it all comes back to haunt him, and he gets a second chance at life, the rare second chance opportunity at life. So that's kind of what this story is about. So this takes you on that path and how he reachieves the life we're dreaming about that he thought he had. Carl Robertson wakes up on a Sunday morning wondering why his left arm is sore, and he is feeling out of breath. He brushes off sweat from his forehead. The 2-car garage door hums open as he walks out the back door of his 4-bedroom ranch home in a quiet suburban neighborhood an hour outside of New York City. A neighbor's running a lawnmower echoes nearby, and shouts of kids playing football in the backyard next door echo off the house. He walks down the concrete steps from the back door to the driveway. With a sore right knee, the 52-year-old limps up the driveway as the sun beams down on a cloudless day underneath an ocean blue sky. A gentle breeze passes across the yard, and a bird chirps in a nearby tree. He grabs the lawnmower next to the kids' bicycles. He turns on the radio, which sits on the shelf overhead. The football game is on, the New York Giants against the Chicago Bears. He loves the Giants, and it's scoreless midway through the second quarter. He rolls the lawnmower out of the garage and pulls on the cord to start it. And it whirs loudly, and he starts in the backyard, and he loves the smell of freshly cut grass. Jeff, his 13-year-old son, comes through the backyard gate with his friend Timmy. "Hi, Timmy," Carl shouts over the lawnmower. "Hello, Mr. Robertson." Timmy follows Jeff inside to play video games, as Jeff has got a new video game for his video game system. Carl has just started back on the lawn when he feels a pain in his chest. He stops, makes a fist with his right hand, and clutches it over his heart while holding the lawnmower with his left hand, and the mower whirs loudly, but the pain quickly subsides. He says, "That was weird." Bethany, Carl's 17-year-old daughter, pulls up in the family sedan, returning home from volleyball practice. "Hey, sweetheart," Carl shouts. "How was practice?" "It was good." Bethany shuts the door and notices something's wrong. Dad's skin color looks a little different. It's a little pale. And he takes off her sunglasses to try and get a better look. "Dad," "Yeah, sweetie? Are you okay?" "Yeah." Bethany notices her father is struggling to breathe. He takes a deep breath, trying to get some more air. He watches him closely as he takes a step with the lawnmower. Suddenly, he lets go of the lawnmower and stops running. He clutches his right hand over his chest and falls to one knee, struggling to breathe. "Dad!" Bethany runs to her father and catches him before he lands flat on the ground. He closes his eyes. His breathing is labored, and she reaches into her purse and gets her cell phone, holding her dad in her other arm. She fumbles with her phone, and with her hand shaking furiously, she dials 911. "911, what's your emergency?" an operator asks. Bethany is trembling, crying, and she's scared. "It's my dad." She screams into the phone. "I don't know what's wrong with him. He's all white, his eyes are closed and not breathing. I think he's dead." "Try to remain calm, ma'am. I'll send a unit out right away. And what's your address?" Jeff is in the kitchen getting a chocolate chip granola bar out of the cupboard, which sits over the oven. He catches sight of Bethany holding Dad in her arms, crying and talking on her phone, which sits on her shoulder underneath her ear, and Jeff slams the cupboard door closed and rushes outside. I'm just going to skim ahead a little bit here in the story. As Carl is wheeled through the swinging doors of St. Luke's Memorial Hospital, his wife follows closely. Before the door swings shut, she sees Bethany and Jeff arrive in the lobby. "Kids," she says, "wait here. I'll come and get you as soon as I can." "But we want to come with," Bethany says. The emergency room doors swing closed. Bethany wipes away a tear from her eye, turns around, and leads her brother to the nearby waiting area. They sit down on a two-seat blue couch with its back to the window as the sun beams from behind. They are worried about their dad, and loud, overlapping chatter surrounds them as a page is made over the public address system in the hospital, calling for a doctor to report to the emergency room. The phone rings behind the front desk, and an elderly man sits alone in the waiting area across from where they sit. The TV in the waiting area has a soap opera on, and a man on a stretcher is wheeled in through those same swinging doors that they just watched their dad go through. Anthony and Jeff just watch their father go through, thinking about what's going to happen. Bethany wraps her arm around her younger brother as a nurse approaches them. Is everything going to be okay? Bethany asks with tears rolling down her cheeks, and her brother quietly sits next to her, worried and afraid of his dad. Doctors frantically attempt to revive Carl. Suddenly, he slowly opens his eyes, and the heart monitor at his bedside starts a high-pitched and sporadic beep. What happened? He asks groggily. Where am I? His wife's eyes are red from crying, and he doesn't know why she was crying or why she is leaning over him. Sweetheart, she says, sniffling and catching her breath. Are you okay? Yeah, I guess so. I've been better. What happened? What's going on? Well, Mr. Robertson, the doctor says, you've just had a mild heart attack. We're going to run some tests to see if there's any damage and schedule you for an echocardiogram. Right now, just try to relax and get some rest. Carl looks at his worried wife, confused, and he reaches for her hand, and they firmly hold each other's hands tight. Faint chatter echoes through the doorway, and the heart monitor continues that high-pitched and sporadic beep. Is there anything I can get you, sweetie? His wife asks, wiping away a tear. Water, maybe? Okay, I'll be right back. He watches her leave the room and sighs deeply, trying to relax. Suddenly, he leans his head back into the pillow. Then the hairs on the back of his neck stand up, and he looks around, confused. Hi, Carl, a familiar male voice says from a dark corner in the room. The voice surprises him. Do you remember me? The voice asks. A faint image begins to appear of a man. Carl rubs his eyes, trying to get a better look, and he suddenly recognizes him. How could I forget? He says. Oh, that's a little snippet of my debut novel, A Life Worth Dreaming About. It's also available here at the festival for $15 and $25. It is also available as an ebook, and coming out later this summer, it will also be available as an audiobook, which is a project I'm very excited about. Some of the reviews that I've gotten about the project so far, it's been a very difficult book to put down. Once a lot of people have gotten into it, they're hooked. It kind of takes a little time to get the story developed, but once you hit that spot, it's a hard book to put down is the general consensus that I have been getting. I've even had people tell me they've read it in a day because they just could not put the book down. So very excited with the project. My writing inspirations include Mitch Albom, John Grisham, and a couple other artists and writers that I'm very fond of. The inspiration to writing a book, I had relatives that had published a book. As I said, I'm a journalist, so I've kind of always had that ambition that'd be kind of cool to write a book. Just kind of needed the topic, and this one actually, in all honesty, came to me just in the middle of the night. Wrote up my storyline, and within days I had about 50 pages written. So that was kind of how I came up with the story and my inspiration. So I appreciate everybody coming out to say hi.